with Applied Behaviour Solutions. My name is Robin. I am a co-founder and director of Applied Behaviour Solutions. Our goal is to create a community for parents of and professionals who work with children who have unique support needs. I know that your time is valuable, so every Tuesday we release an episode loaded with quick tips designed to give you information that you can start using today. So we've received a couple of questions from parents over the past few weeks about screen time. Natasha wants to know how much screen time is too much. Taryn asked, how can I decrease my son's screen time because he seems to be obsessed with watching videos? We have one from Martine asking if it counts as screen time if it's used for educational purposes like schoolwork. So there seems to be a lot of questions out there, and I hope that this episode will help answer some of them. Screen time is the amount of time spent using a device with a screen. So your phone, the computer, TV, or a game console. The concept of screen time is under significant research with related concepts in digital media use as well as mental health. For typically developing children, our understanding of too much screen time may need to evolve, given how central devices are in the way that we work, we play, we socialize, and we communicate. There isn't one huge thing that can be clumped up as screen time. Especially in light of COVID-19, having much of the world's population in lockdown, where our main form of engagement with the world is through devices. The problem comes in where some research studies and parents as well, when you look at screen time, it becomes my child is just looking at or just playing games or watching TV, and it's if your child spends 5 hours of time using a screen of some sort, then it's only on mindless gaming or mindless watching, mindless engagement with the screen. So it's not necessarily always the case though. Children these days are using their devices to learn for educational purposes. A child in a day may have screen time for about 5 hours, but they could be using this for a number of different reasons. They could be communicating with their friends. They could be accessing a lesson from their teacher. They could be Googling for their history assignments, writing an essay, videoing themselves saying the essay. They will spend some of their time watching TV and having a discussion with their parents about whoever the contestants are in, let's say, MasterChef Australia. There are so many ways that we are using screen time and technology these days. It is not necessarily just mindless. In fact, we might expect that kids would be at a disadvantage in several ways if they don't get to engage in a certain amount of screen time. A group of researchers established what is known as the Goldilocks hypothesis. This is where there is too much is bad, too little is bad, but just the right amount will actually give you benefits, and it may increase their mental well-being as well. If you are interested, I'm actually just popping this into the comment section now. So there it is. So you can go on to this link and you can have a look at what it says ideal, where the benefits come from, how much time it will benefit your child. It depends on what it's talking about, is that it depends on what they're using the screen for. So it actually goes into, if it's for communication, then this is how much time is ideal and is beneficial. For TV, how much is beneficial. For using it for homework. So it actually divides it up quite nicely if you're interested to go have a look. The question comes in is when we talk about children with special needs. So kids with autism and ADHD, for example. So children with autism typically have social skill deficits that can affect their ability to play with others. And because of this, they often pursue more solitary activities. They may also have narrow interests, and this could cause them to spend much of their time on one specific thing. So if they are engaging in devices, it could be that they're just using it to view videos of animals, for instance, and not using it for anything else. Unfortunately, also what comes with a lot of screen time is that it interferes with a child's ability to learn new skills and acquire the social skills necessary to play with others. Screen time close to bedtime can also make it difficult for a child to fall asleep and to remain sleeping. Autism and ADHD may manifest in certain ways that nudge them towards dependency on digital devices earlier than their typically developing peers. And excessive screen time can encroach on critical social interaction and skill building play. However, having said this, digital devices can absolutely serve as important tools for our children when used as a communication device, visual schedules, platforms for creating social stories, or as immediate behavioral reinforcers. Many children with learning disorders struggle with paper tasks, and so using a laptop to type or to access information can be extremely helpful. Some children, in fact, are more fluent when it comes to learning on a device than they are in paper tasks. So again, I think what the key thing is here that we need to look at balance and moderation. So when is screen time an issue? So what I would say is it becomes an issue and it should be concerning if it is interfering with the development of their skills. If screen time is causing your child to have less sleep, if there are meltdowns or explosive behavior when devices are removed or interrupted, if the type of screen time is repetitive or narrow in interest, and if there are no rules regarding the use of these devices. All right, so it's important to know that removing screen time altogether or decreasing it drastically is going to lead to problem behavior, especially if your kid is used to having their iPad or phone or laptop in front of them most of the day. If you do feel like you need to reduce your child's screen time, use the steps that I'm going to talk through next to help make the transition more successful. So step one would be to create a daily schedule and routine. Having a consistent schedule will let your child know what to expect throughout the day. It should include a variety of activities that your child enjoys and is able to complete. So if you should also actually put the times that they have access to device in the schedule so that they know when it can be expected. And also, the reason that you want to put other activities that they do enjoy there is so that they can do these more. What happens sometimes with screen time is that our children are too reliant on whatever it is that they're enjoying with the device at the moment, and therefore less inclined to go out and do other things. And this just perpetuates narrow interests. Step two would be to limit screen time to times where social activities are not possible. So when you aren't able to interact or assist in social activities or learning, then this is an ideal time to give them access to screen time. So for example, when you are cooking dinner and aren't able to do anything with them, that's a good time to give them access to screen time. It's not taking away from anything else that could have taken place during that time. Step three would be to place preferred activities after less preferred activities. So basically what you're going to do is screen time will start becoming a reward for the completion of less preferred activities, such as cleaning up their room or finishing their dinner. So what you will end up doing is using it as a reinforcer. So have a system in place where they know that After they have done an activity, this is when they can have access to their screen time. What I've done that has been quite successful in the past is to have a level system. Especially with something like screen time, you could have level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 would be, let's say, the maximum amount of screen time. So let's say 30 minutes. Level 2 would be 15 minutes, and level 3 would be no minutes. How you would work this, and it's very adaptable to your family, your child, whatever it is, you can change it up. But what I do is, so level 1 obviously being the highest amount of screen time possible, this will be if they completed whatever it was that they were meant to do in the best way possible. So if we're talking about homework, if your child came, you can set these conditions up with them, and I would, just so that they know what the conditions are for the certain levels. For the first level, if your child came home straight away, took out their homework books, started working, finished their work with little assistance and little distraction, and finished within a time limit, then that obviously would be the best. The level 1, they can have 30 minutes. And you actually, like, it's fantastic because they're doing something that is more difficult for them, and they're getting access to the screen time. If they needed reminders or got a bit distracted, but they still finished their homework and you are happy with the level of the homework that was done, then that would be like a level 2. They get 15 minutes. And you can just say to them, so remember, tomorrow, if you want 30 minutes, you can do X, Y, Z, and you can discuss that with them. Level 3 would obviously be if they refused or there was a lot of behavior during the homework. That would be no screen time. And then this is almost like a contract that you go into with them, and it will help with the future responses in less preferred activities. So step number 4 is an important one. Use a timer to indicate the duration of their screen time. Your child should always know how long they have to play or engage in screen time. It shouldn't be this open-ended activity that is just forever and ever, because what's going to happen is your child is going to get upset when you do eventually remove it from them. There are no parameters, and therefore there is no consistency, and you can see how this can lead to quite a lot of negative things happening. If you give your child access to screen time and tell them, okay, you have 20 minutes to do video games, for example, then have, for kids who aren't able to read time yet, and time is a very difficult concept, so what's really helpful is if you can get you can download apps that have visual representations for the passage of time, where they can actually, if they looked up from their screen, they can see like some kind of thing that is showing how time is disappearing. It can be it goes from green to yellow to orange to red, and when it's red, that means it's almost done. So having this ability to see how long they have left and to know how much time that they have will really reduce anxiety about their use of the devices. I would also highly recommend what we call transitional cues. So like 5 minutes before you're about to stop the device time, let them know. So give them a countdown. Okay, 5 more minutes. Right, 2 more minutes. Because then they can start wrapping up what they were doing, and it's not that you're just suddenly removing it from them without them knowing about it. Step 5 is to decrease screen time gradually. You don't want to just pull it immediately, so do it gradually. And a nice way to do this is by selecting certain activities where screen time is not available. So for example, when during dinner, so you could say, okay, right, so every day during dinner there's absolutely no screen time allowed, and this gives you an opportunity as a family to sit together, and you may need to provide other activities during dinner just to keep your child engaged. Otherwise, it may be difficult for them to just sit at a table and do nothing besides eat. So think of some other activities that you can do to keep them engaged. Another one is you could do it, you could say, okay, while I'm reading you a story at night, no screen time then. And this way you can gradually add more activities that don't include screen time so that the change occurs over time. Our last tip for helping your child to cut down on their screen time is to replace screen time before bed with a calming activity. I'm sure there are many parents out there who have experienced their child having interfered, disturbed, or lack of sleep and the ramifications thereof. Sleep deprivation is serious, especially in our children, and it affects a whole bunch of things like the ability to retain skills, their ability to retain information, to carry on learning. It increases anxiety. It's good to get your kids to have an optimal amount of sleep, and screen time does interfere with this. So remove screens from your child, and this is any type of screen, not just a phone or an iPad, any type of screen, at least 30 minutes before bedtime. So how I recommend you do this is to make an activity night every night that doesn't include screen time. So 30 minutes before bedtime can be reading time. It can be a board game. It could be anything that's not related to screen time. And just before bed, I would do something that is calming, like telling stories or reading to them. So those are the tips that I would recommend. It's important to note that some screen time, especially those focusing on skill building and learning, may benefit your child. Screen time management for children with autism and ADHD and other learning disorders is a matter of shaping their digital device use in an intentional way so that they get the benefits while avoiding some of the negative effects. I hope you found today's talk helpful. It's my goal to be brief, to be detailed, and to be done so that you can go back to what you need to be doing. Tune in next week for another episode of Quick Tip Tuesday. And don't forget to follow our Facebook and our Instagram page for this and other episodes, as well as many other resources that are going to help you out. All right, everyone, goodbye and stay safe.